Hey friends, it's Laura with Laura B Floss Tube. Welcome and welcome back. I'm so glad you joined me today. We are going to continue our vintage linens and quilts series. We're recycling, upcycling, repurposing those vintage linens and quilts that we all have probably in our closets that they just stay on the shelf because we're not really sure what to do with them. They're worn out and so they're not going to work for a quilt anymore. They're stained, they're torn. So we're going to take the good pieces of those things and repurpose them into something new that we can use. Now this is part of a series, so I do have some other videos out there with some other ideas of what to do with those linens and quilts. Today we're going to be focusing on making a heat tool pouch for travel. So I don't know if you're like me, but I flat iron my hair just about every day. When I go on vacation, I take my flat iron with me. And the thing is, I don't like just throwing it into my duffel bag or my suitcase because I'm afraid it's going to get damaged. So we're going to use part of our vintage quilt to make a protective pouch for our heat tools. I measured my flat iron to get these dimensions, so you want to make sure that you measure yours because it could be a little longer than mine, and if so, then you want to adjust. But right now what I have done is I have cut two strips. One is 5 inches by 15 inches, the other one is 5 inches by 21 inches, and those both came out of that side border from that pink quilt. And we have a couple things we're going to do to these pieces, and then we're going to stitch them together. So we're going to use the serger and the sewing machine. If you don't have a serger, don't worry about it. You can use a zigzag or an overlock stitch on your regular sewing machine. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this longer strip and I'm going to put a buttonhole in it. Then I'm going to take the shorter strip and attach the button. Then we'll sandwich them together, serge them, turn them out, and finish it up. You guys know that I am a fan of my Juki DX7, and this is another reason. This little machine is so amazing because it has this buttonholer attachment that really has made my life so easy. Basically, you put this on there, you put one of your buttons in the back. Let me see if I can show you that. One of these buttons is sitting right back here, and that's telling this foot how long to make this buttonhole, which is amazing. It works so well because it really is a one-step buttonhole after you have the foot on there and after you have the button in the appropriate spot. All I'm going to do is fold this in half, measure up, I don't know, an inch or so from the end, and make a little dot with a pencil. I'm going to go this high. Very precise, right? Now I'm going to open this up and I'm going to line that dot up right in the crosshairs. And I'll move you in so you can see this. So that dot is right there in the center of those 3 little spots. I'm going to make sure I have that basically straight. And now I'm going to lower my presser foot and hit the gas. All right, so we have our buttonhole done. I'm going to take this attachment off and I'm going to put on my regular foot and we will attach the button. All right, so I made a little dot right here to tell me that is the middle, and I'm just going to put that underneath my button. I'm going to change it to the button stitch on my machine, and I am going to try it one time just to make sure. And again, I'm going to try it one time just to make sure. I'm just moving the hand wheel. I can adjust the width of that stitch if I need to. And I do go 2 times just because this is pretty thick and I want to make sure that button is super secure. Okay, so those are the 2 things I'm going to do on my Juki. The rest of it is going to be done on my serger. Now again, if you do not have a serger, don't fret. You can use a zigzag or an overlock type stitch on your regular machine and get the same result. But I have decided that I really like using my serger every once in a while. So I put the button to the inside because once I'm done serging these edges, I'm going to flip the whole thing out. So I'm going to basically put right sides together. So the pink is going to be on the outside too. Okay, so full disclosure, I forgot to do this top seam, and so I messed up. So I'm going to have to improvise a little bit here. I'm going to run another seam here, just along the edge. It will be fine. Then we're going to line up the other two edges, the long edges from the bottom, and we're going to sew all the way up to the top. You may remember I showed sewing with a serger in the makeup travel pouch video. And you always want to make sure you sew off a little ways, because we're going to take these tails and thread them back through before we're done. All right, so let's thread our tails and then we'll flip it out, cut our buttonhole, and we'll be done. I'm gonna go ahead and thread these tails just in case you didn't watch the makeup brush roll-up tutorial. Basically, I just threaded a great big eyed needle and with all that tail, and I'm gonna run it down through some of those stitches. I'm actually gonna go down through the layers so you can't even see it because it's pink. And pull that down through, and then I'll cut that off. You never want to cut off the serged stitch right there at the edge, because it will just start to unravel, and that's not exactly what we're going for. And again, I'm just running it down through between those layers, about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches, and then pulling this down. Sometimes if you have a lot of thread, you may have to work it a little bit to get it to come down. Oops. I'm going to go ahead and cut this little string too. All right, we have 2 more tails to thread, and then we'll be able to turn it out. Okay, so it's just time to turn out our heat tool pouch. I'm just going to take my hand down here and kind of grab this end and pull it out. We have a little string here I'm going to cut off. And then I'm going to just take my hand down here to the end and poke out those corners. They don't necessarily need to be perfect, but we'll want them to kind of be out a little bit. All right, and then I'm just going to spread my hand and come up both of those side seams up to the top of the pouch. And I'm going to take my scissors, because they're pointy on one end, I can do this, and I'm just going to cut my buttonhole. Get a little spot started. Now you can definitely do this with a seam ripper too if you don't want to use your scissors, or if you don't have pointy scissors like these. And now we'll button our button and call this project done. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this really quick tutorial on how to make yourself a nice heat tool pouch for traveling. This is amazing, and I'm not gonna have to worry about my flat iron getting damaged in my suitcase anymore. If you love this project but you don't wanna make your own, check out my Etsy shop because I am gonna list a few of these for sale. Until next time, I hope you're finding joy in all you do. Carve out some time for crafting and creating, and make sure it's always happy stitching.